News. Now, Eyewitness News. With Dave Ward, Marvin Zindler's Action 13, Bob Allen has sports, and the weather with Ed Brendan. Now, Channel 13, Eyewitness News, tonight.
Good evening, friends. It has been over 36 hours now since federal agents first confronted a heavily armed religious cult near Waco. They were met by a hail of gunfire, killing 4 of the agents and wounding over a dozen others. Tonight, additional agents have arrived on that scene, many of them in combat gear. We have a team of reporters and photographers in the Waco area keeping us up to date on this developing story. For the latest, let us turn live now to reporter Alan Himberger. Alan.
Hello, Dave. In fact, the marshals moved in force tonight. We say marshals. We're not really sure what kind of agents they are. We know for sure that they are federal agents of some sort, probably ATF agents. This morning at news conferences, the ATF people talked about the problems they had out here yesterday. They said one of the reasons that they had 4 men go down was because they were outgunned yesterday. They were here today to make sure that wasn't going to happen again. Late this afternoon, there was more movement inside the compound. When the vehicles passed us, we could see that more children had been released. At about the same time, a Coast Guard C-130 transport landed at Waco Airport. It was carrying dozens of men, perhaps members of some highly trained federal strike force. They were loaded onto military buses. And then tonight after 7 p.m., authorities enforced a total blackout on all the lights. A short time later, we were told that the FBI command post was moving about a half-mile away from the cult compound. Could the movement of the command post be part of the negotiations?
Probably is part of it. I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you. That's their situation.
That's your best guess.
That's my guess, okay?
So do you see that?
Then came a long line of cars and minivans, all carrying dozens of well-armed men. And as soon as those men came into the compound, authorities came out and ordered all of the media away. You know, during the daytime, of course, when there was light, we could see the compound from where we were located. But at nighttime, it's a different story out here. And Carlos Aguilar has that angle.
They just asked if y'all would comply and turn the lights off at this time. Okay. Okay.
Right after sunset, law officers went around to the more than 200 news media covering this story to make sure they complied with the blackout. Even though we were about a mile from the compound, we were being asked to turn out our lights.
They're afraid that possibly somebody from the other side over there in the compound, if they had ability to shoot at night, that they might just take a few pot shots. So just for security measures.
The darkness left the news media to make do without. But there was one Dallas TV station that had a working night scope camera that still provided an image for the watchful eye.
Well, the night vision scope, as you know, amplifies light, and in low light situations you can see things that you wouldn't be able to see with a naked or unaided eye.
This has been a tiring situation for the news media and the various authorities who have been on the scene since the Sunday morning shootout between federal agents and members of the religious group. Local law officers have been holding the line while the federal agents figure out what to do.
I was out till about 12:30 last night, went home, got some sleep, and came back at 7 this morning. I'm going to stay out for a while tonight, but we've got a lot of the local officers coming in from other agencies that are really supporting us, so that's giving us a break, so we really appreciate their help.
When we have had to turn our lights on to work tonight, we've done it behind our satellite camera so we wouldn't become targets. But what I am hearing from authorities here is that they might move the news media even further back should this go into another night. Carlos Aguilar, 13 Eyewitness News.
And in fact, Carlos was kind of prophetic in that sense, Dave. Just about a half hour after he finished that report, in fact, they came up and they told all the news media to move back. A couple of reasons possible for that. First of all, we were about half a mile to a mile away from the compound. Anybody familiar with weaponry knows that a gunshot can travel a mile real easy. So for our safety, perhaps they pulled us back. You also heard Carlos talking about night cams here, so people can really see in the dark what those agents are doing up there, and perhaps they don't want to let everybody know the kind of operation that they may be involved with tonight. Dave?
Okay, keep us posted, Alan. Thank you.
We will do it.
Well, the leader of this Branch Davidian cult calls himself David Koresh, who took control of the group in the late 1980s. Members believe in the imminent end of the world and the second coming of Christ. When Koresh took over, the group became his own personal cult, as shown in an Australian TV interview last year.
Well, you know what they think of me? They think I'm the son of God. Do they? Yeah.
In 1987, the struggle for leadership at the Waco area compound turned to gunfire. Koresh and seven followers were charged with attempted murder, but no one was convicted. The events in Waco have several tragic ties to Houston. One of the ATF agents killed there yesterday, and the cult leader's grandmother both called the Houston area home. And Chris Adams reports.
Jean Hullab lives in Houston. While watching television, she learned her grandson, David Koresh, is leading the Waco cult.
I like passed out. I started crying. I just couldn't believe it.
She talks about her grandson's love of music, his passion for religious theology, and his fascination with weapons. And she has a message.
For God's sakes, let's try to straighten this thing out and be together again. Be as a family. Because we can't have our family reunion without you.
On this street in Houston live two grieving parents who know their family will never be whole again. Their son, ATF agent Steve Willis, was killed in the shootout. They wait for his body to return. The slain officer had deep ties to the Houston area. He graduated in 1979 from Katy High School. Today on campus, word of his tragic death spread. His English teacher and the school's receptionist look at his yearbook picture and remember the young man they knew.
I think he was just a very nice boy, never in any trouble. And
it's very tragic. It's tragic when any young person dies.
The special agent in charge of the bureau where Willis worked talked about the emotions which tear at the dead man's co-workers.
Hurt, sorrow, pain, anger, frustration, you name it, we've had it heaped upon us. We are just overwhelmed right now.
The events in Waco seem to have overwhelmed just about everyone. Reporting, Chris Adams, 13 Eyewitness News.